morning, or should I say good afternoon. It's just shy of noon on November 23rd, Sunday 2025. Welcome to the North American Sports Report. This is Billy DiNapoli. Big day of Sunday. Fun day, NFL football ahead. First, we're going to quickly put a cap on college football yesterday before we get to NFL injury reports, games today, and our picks. Yesterday, we did go 3-1 in college. We did go 3-1. We were actually a half a point away from going 4-0. The Miami Hurricanes won by 17, not 17 and a half. We had Texas straight. That was a winner. We had Iowa State and Ohio State in a teaser. That was a winner. We had Oregon and Texas in a teaser. That was a winner. And we had the Miami Hurricanes minus 17 and a half. That was a loser. 3-1 yesterday, which improves us to 23, 25, and 1 on the season in college. 23, 25, and 1, trying to get to and past that 500 mark like we were for most of the season. We are 39 and 39 in the NFL. Yesterday, quickly to recap, Ohio State took care of their business, still the best team in the land, 42-9 over Rutgers. Oklahoma defeated Missouri 17-6 in which was an ugly game. Oklahoma couldn't do much on offense. They did bust one 87-yard pass play, and that was pretty much all they did. That was all they did on offense all day. Missouri controlled much of the first half, up 3-0 until 6 minutes to go in the first half. Time of possession was 22-8. 22-8 in favor of Missouri. 22 minutes to 8 minutes, but Missouri's offense was just putrid. They couldn't get enough done with all the opportunities that they did have. And if you were a Miami Hurricane fan, that was one of the games that you were focused on, that you needed to get your way into the playoff, and that didn't happen for you. There was a bunch of things that could have happened that were looking like they were happening for Miami yesterday. That didn't happen. Of course, they took care of their own business, crushing Virginia Tech like they did 34-17. Carson Beck threw for 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards. It was 27 of 32. Ball barely hit the ground. Carson had an amazing day. Threw for 320 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions. Malachi Toney, the incredible freshman, continues to impress. 9 catches for 146 yards. He added a touchdown. He was sensational. Actually, you know what? I just want to check on that. Did Toney have 1 or 2 touchdowns? Carson was fantastic. 27 of 32, 320, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Canes didn't have to run the ball much. The young freshman Pringle, 13 carries for 50 yards. They didn't have to run it much because they could throw it at will. But of course, their stupid offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson still tries to run the ball too much. Take what is presented to you. When you're playing a team with a soft pass defense, attack them through the air. Toney, 12 for 146, 12 receptions, 146, and that 1 touchdown. Okay, we're just going to go over games that had implications. Georgia, no problem over Charlotte, 35-3. They rested most of their starters in the second half. Let's see here. Alabama makes short work of Eastern Illinois. That's one of their powder puff games. They win 56-0. That is another team that the Miami Hurricanes will be watching as they play Auburn next weekend. And if Alabama loses, they are out. But I would expect them to be a double-digit favorite over Auburn in the Iron Bowl, of course. Okay, only games of note here. South Florida defeats UAB 48-18. South Florida still has a chance in the Power 5 as an at-large bid, because the thing is with these rankings, for instance, if Miami comes in at 13, it's really like they're 15. Because they're the highest ranked ACC team, and most likely they're not going to the ACC championship. So that means if you don't win the ACC, that gets an auto bid. So if you're Miami right now and you're 13th, it's like you're 15. You need to leapfrog 2 teams because the remaining teams in the Power Five, one of them is going to get a bid, and the ACC champion is going to get an automatic bid. So you need to be ahead of those two teams. Miami still does have a shot to make it to the ACC title game, believe it or not. It's kind of crazy. I've heard some different things. Manny Navarro, who covers the Canes, has heard on the Big O Show in South Florida. Now, Manny knows his stuff. A lot of people on all the fan pages and all the news sites down in South Florida, they're saying a couple of different things. Obviously, they need, the Miami Hurricanes, that is, they need Virginia Tech to upset Virginia, and they need the Canes take care of their own business and beat Pittsburgh. Now, by my estimations, that should be enough to get them in, because Georgia Tech was defeated and they lost and they're out. So Georgia Tech gets knocked off. They were beat up yesterday. One second, I'm drawing a blank here. Georgia Tech gets pounded by Pittsburgh at home 42-28. And Pittsburgh is now 8-3. They will be ranked, and the Canes travel to Pittsburgh. So that could be the fourth victory over a ranked opponent for Miami if they defeat Pittsburgh, which will help their standing. Pittsburgh still has a shot for the ACC title game, but if they get defeated by Miami, they're out. Georgia Tech is now out, and if Virginia Tech defeats and upsets Virginia, the Canes would play SMU. That's how I have it. But Manny Diaz reported that we also need Wake Forest to beat Duke. I don't know how that factors in. I guess tiebreakers, and he says we need Cal to defeat SMU, which still will not take SMU out of the conference title. They have one loss. If Virginia were to lose, they would also have two losses. SMU would have two losses, and Duke would have two losses. I don't understand how a lot of these tiebreakers work, but Manny Navarro has reported that the Canes would need Virginia Tech to beat Virginia, Cal to beat SMU, and Wake Forest to beat Duke. And for us, and all those things could happen. The most unlikely thing is Cal beating SMU, and honestly Virginia Tech beating Virginia, even though it's a rivalry game, is very unlikely. I don't know how Manny is getting these tiebreakers, because the way I see it, if the Canes beat Pittsburgh, they needed Georgia Tech to lose. That's already happened. If the Canes beat Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech beats Virginia, we would be playing SMU who in the conference title game, because even if SMU loses one more game, they're still ahead of Miami with two losses because they have the head-to-head. They'd still be ahead of Virginia because they beat Virginia. So I don't really see how SMU is out of that conference title game. But anyway, Manny Navarro reports that the Canes need three things to happen: Virginia losing to Virginia Tech, Cal losing to SMU, and Wake Forest to beat Duke, which are all, the last one is possible, and the Canes beating Pittsburgh is very possible. But long story short, if you're a Miami Hurricanes supporter, your faster track to the college playoffs is just to have 1 out of 6 teams lose. I'm sorry, 2. You need 2 out of 6 teams to lose. You need either Oklahoma, Alabama, Utah, BYU, Ole Miss, Notre Dame. Those 6 teams. If 2 of those 6 teams lose their final game, the Canes get an auto bid into the college football playoffs. That is a more likely chance than this crazy ACC, this crazy convoluted tiebreaker involved road to the ACC championship. It's very likely that 2 out of 6 teams can lose a game. Very likely. But if you look at the schedule, it doesn't seem that likely. And last night, it looked like everything was breaking right if you're a Miami Hurricane fan. Utah was down by 10 late to Kansas State with 5 minutes to go. They came back and they won 51-47, even though K-State rushed for over 350 yards against a porous Utah defense. Utah still hanging in there with 1 loss, ranked 11th in the country, I'm sorry, 12th in the country. The 11th ranked team with one loss, BYU, they also were having trouble with Cincinnati. And there was a portion of the game where it was 7-3 BYU. Cincinnati has the ball at the 2-yard line, 4th and a half a yard. They're stopped. Then the game stayed tight. It was a 10-7 game, and it was 7-0 when Cincinnati was stopped on the doorstep at 4th and 1. Then it was a 10-7 game, and Cincinnati proceeded to miss 3 straight field goals while they were down 10-7 to BYU. Now they ended up losing the game. I believe it was what was the final? They lost 28-14, I believe it was. I watched this game. Let me just double check. 26-14 was the final. But Cincinnati literally had chance after chance after chance. They left 16 points on the table. Their kickers kicked 23 of his last 24 field goals, and he misses 3 makeable field goals all in a row. And of course, they get stopped on that 4th and 1 from the 2-yard line. And Cincinnati had every chance at home to beat BYU. And if BYU and Utah lose, that's the 2 spots. That pretty much would have paved the way for the Hurricanes. BYU is going to play Texas Tech in the Big Ten championship, and they'll lose when they play Texas Tech. They'll lose that. And that pretty much would have paid. I mean, Texas Tech manhandled BYU when they played them earlier in the season. I don't see BYU beating them. Those 2 losses would have been what they needed. Oklahoma was also ripe for a defeat, and that didn't happen. So this is what happens when you need other teams to help you get in. This is what happens when you lose to Louisville and you throw 4 picks and you have 10 penalties a game for 90 yards and you make stupid penalties and drop passes like the Canes did against Louisville and SMU. They have only themselves to blame. Penalties, missed opportunities, conservative play calling. They should have never even been in overtime against SMU. You want to kill Carson Beck for his 4 interceptions in the Louisville game. It's really the only bad game he's had all year. Carson Beck right now has 22 touchdowns, 9 picks, and is 73% completion. That's as good a year as you need your quarterback to have. So anyway, that's the crazy. The outright bid is not as confusing. I just gave it to you. You need 2 of 6 teams to lose 1 game. Notre Dame's not losing. They're killing everybody by 70. They beat Syracuse by 70-0 score yet, or I think it was 70-7. And they're pounding teams, and their schedule is soft. They're not going to lose their last game. Your best option is maybe LSU can rise up against Oklahoma, and maybe Bama has some trouble at Auburn in the Iron Bowl. And yes, is it possible that Utah or BYU could drop a game? Sure. Maybe Utah loses, and then BYU gets slaughtered in the conference championship game, and even though they made it there with 2 losses, maybe Miami leapfrogs them, because they got to leapfrog too. Being 13th is like being 15th. Because remember, the Power 5 team gets an auto bid, and the ACC champion, even though they're going to be ranked lower than Miami, once they win the ACC, they're going to be automatically in. All right, well, that's for our South Florida followers, and we have plenty of them. Other notables, as we said, Notre Dame pounded Syracuse, pounded them. They're going to have no trouble getting their auto bid in there because, as you know, they're an independent. Tennessee 31-11 over Florida. They're 20th ranked, though. They're on the outside. They won't be involved. Wisconsin upset Illinois, who was 21st ranked, 27-10, but that doesn't have a bearing. Here's a team that could get that Power 5 bid. North Texas defeats Rice 56-24 to improve to 10-1. If you need Cal to beat SMU, that wasn't looking too good since they got beat by 4-7 Stanford in a rivalry game last night. We told you that Pittsburgh routes Georgia Tech. They threw the ball all over the place on them. Penn State defeats Nebraska 37-10. They're going nowhere. Boise State improved to 7-4. They defeated Colorado State 49-21. Clemson in their lost season does become bowl eligible at least. They improved to 6-5, defeating Furman 45-10. That's one of their scrub get-right games. Michigan is still alive for a conference championship berth, defeats Maryland 45-20, and the big game against Ohio State is next weekend. What else do we have here of note? As I told you, Utah 51-47 over Kansas State, a game they had to pull out. They trailed by 10 with 5 minutes to play. No defense could get a stop. Texas a little too late, 52-37 over Arkansas. Arch Manning had a fantastic day. Let's look at Arch's numbers. Listen, Arch's last 4 weeks, against some good competition, some not, but he has been consistent. He has averaged over 300 yards a game in his last 4 games. And remember, they played Georgia and Oklahoma. And Arch is coming back. He's going to need another year of seasoning, but his last half of the season has been more of the Arch Manning you thought you would see. He was yesterday 18 of 30, 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and he even caught a touchdown. Good for Arch. Iowa defeats Michigan State. That is nothing to do about nothing there. Iowa 7-4 defeats Michigan State 20-17. Duke still alive for the ACC title game and also in a long shot, but they defeat Bill Belichick's hapless North Carolina Tar Heels 32-25. Duke improves to 6-5, and I just love watching Bill Belichick lose. He looks like such a schmuck in his old age, going to college because he couldn't get a pro job, and with a girlfriend Bill's 73 and his girlfriend's like in her 20s. I'm sorry, that's just freaking gross. That's classless, Billy. Classless. Vandy beats Kentucky 45-17. Vandy still has a shot. They're 14th right now. Again, though, they probably will not be in the SEC title game. So 14th is like 16th when you need to hop 2 teams. Because the SEC title game is going to have Georgia in it, probably versus A&M or something like that. Alabama's a long shot, but it's looking like Georgia and A&M in that. Notre Dame 70-7 over Syracuse. Notre Dame is leaving no doubt with the committee. They're blowing these teams out and they are racking up style points. That is it for the notable games. That completes the college roster for yesterday. We gave you the Miami Hurricane possibilities. We're going to move it to the NFL. NFL, we have the injury report, and it has been updated from what we gave you earlier in the week. Jackson Dart is out for the Giants today. He will not play. Jackson Dart is out. The running back, Isaiah Pacheco, is out for the Chiefs. Joe Burrow, who was practicing today, he will not play today as the Bengals host the Patriots. Joe Burrow is out. Here's a guy we thought that was going to play, and they're telling us as of right now that he is not. Aaron Rodgers will not play for the Steelers today. It is going to be Mason Rudolph. Well, you know what? We just got some updates. Let's make sure this is all still happening. Yes, Aaron Rodgers, left wrist, will not play against the Bears today. Also, some injuries for the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers will not have Josh Jacobs, who did avoid a season-ending knee injury. It was not as serious as we thought. He's week to week. No Josh Jacobs today. No Matthew Golden at wide receiver for the Packers. They will have Dontavian Wicks back in the lineup. As we said, the Steelers, no Rodgers. The Bengals, no Burrow. The Buccaneers, when they play on Monday night, will get Chris Godwin back. But they will not have Bucky Irving. Still no Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving is going to miss his 5th straight game. 5th straight game. As we said, there'll be no Jackson Dart for the Giants today. The Jets are going to start Tyrod Taylor when they play the Ravens. Justin Fields has been sent to the bench where he belongs. I got to tell you something about these guys in New York. When you play in New York, just ask Anthony Volpe of the Yankees. You're under such a microscope. These guys like Justin Fields and Carter of the Giants, the Penn State rookie who's having a really rough rough rookie season, and a lot of that is brought on by his own immature behavior as well. And these guys, they get killed in the local media because here in New York, it's been so long since they have tasted victory. I mean, Giant fans have got to be getting tired of talking about their two biggest wins in their history where they beat the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. Because, that's 14, 15 years old now, and they have sucked ever since then. And that's got to be getting tired. And the Yankees, although they're in the playoffs, it's about winning World Series when you're on the Yankees. And I know the Yankees were in the World Series the year before last. But, it's been a while for the Yanks now. We've gone through 17, from 2010 through 2016 seasons through 2025 where the Yankees have not won a World Series. And there's been so much losing around here with the Rangers, the Knicks, in the general New York metropolitan area. I'm not counting Islanders. The Devils have probably been the winningest hockey team around here. Well, at least they have, 3 titles and been to 5 Stanley Cups in the last 30 years. Going to 5 Cups over a 30-year span, that's not too bad. Their last one, though, being 2012. But there's been no winning here in the local area. Rangers, Devils, Islanders, Jets, Giants, Yanks. And the Knicks and Rangers, they never win. They never win a title. So New Yorkers are pissed off. They're tired. They need something. And that's why these guys, when they slip up here in New York, they get fried under the microscope like in no other region. And you look at Quinnen Williams. He gets out of New York. He has his best game. I know it was against the Raiders. He had a sack and a half. That ties his high all of his career in the Jets. Sauce Gardner, every time I looked, he was breaking up a pass. Jet fans were down on him, thinking he was losing his luster. But they get out of hell, and all of a sudden they have hope and they play better. It's escape from New York. So these players, they leave here and all of a sudden, wow, look at Sam Darnold. The microscope, the heat is so hot in the New York kitchen, a lot of them can't handle it. That's because all these teams have sucked in the local metropolitan area for so long, and the fans are sick of it. Me and my brother, we had a conversation about that this morning. Okay, let's get to the NFL today. 1 o'clock, Steelers at the Bears. That spread is now going from 2.5 to 3 points. The Bears are missing also a starting linebacker and a starting corner, 2 starters on defense, but the Steelers will now, it's funny, they lose Aaron Rodgers. It goes from Aaron Rodgers to Mason Rudolph, and the spread moved to 0.5 point, 2.5 to 3. The Bears are a 3-point favorite. The Jets with Tyrod Taylor will be at Baltimore as the Ravens, who have won 4 in a row, try to trace down the Steelers for that AFC North lead. The Ravens hosting the Jets. The Ravens are a 13.5-point favorite. The Giants, without Jackson Dart, it'll be Jameis Winston for the Giants. They travel to Detroit. The Lions coming off a loss. The Lions are a 13.5-point favorite, hosting the Giants. That is also 1 o'clock. Those are the biggest spreads of the day. The Jets, Ravens at 13.5, and the Giants, Lions at 13.5. Patriots, they will now be facing Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow. The Patriots will also get Ramondre Stevenson back at running back. Although I will say, they didn't miss him that much. The kid Henderson was fantastic. Fantastic. And you know what? It's just a lot of depth they have. It's a lot of depth they have in New England. Their defense is playing well. They're great up front. You got Gonzalez at corner. Travion Henderson was fantastic in relief of Ramondre Stevenson, but Stevenson will be back today for the Patriots. The Patriots are a 7.5-point favorite at Cincinnati. Seattle Seahawks travel to Tennessee. The Seahawks are a 12.5-point favorite. That is also a 1 o'clock start. Of the Minnesota Vikings, who again will be without Josh Jacobs and Matthew Golden, but mostly Jacobs. The Vikings travel to Green Bay. The Vikings looking for any quarterback consistency they can get. As you know, their rookie J.J. McCarthy has struggled. I mean, struggled. The Pack are a 6.5-point favorite at home over the Vikings. One of the games of the day. The Indianapolis Colts at 8-2 travel to Kansas City. The Chiefs in desperate need of a win. The Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Indianapolis Colts in one of the games of the day. And believe it or not, the Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite. That just went to 3.5. It was 3. Now there's the hook to consider. Okay. We move now to the 4 o'clock games. 4:05, the Jacksonville Jaguars will head to Arizona, where they will play Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals. The Jags are a 2.5-point favorite at Arizona in another 4:05 start. Here is a game of interest, which I should have mentioned in the injury report and who's out and who's not. The Cleveland Browns will finally start Shedeur Sanders. I mean, I do think that Dylan Gabriel's still in concussion protocol, so I don't know if this would have been the coach's decision. But obviously, if Shedeur shows anything, he's probably not going to lose the gig. Shedeur will start at Las Vegas, which makes this game very intriguing. I'm actually very excited to watch Shedeur play the Las Vegas Raiders at Vegas. The Browns are a 3-point underdog. Las Vegas, wow. You won't see Las Vegas as a favorite very often. Las Vegas is a 3-point favorite. It's a 4:05 start as Shedeur Sanders gets to start for the Cleveland Browns. Atlanta, who will be with Kirk Cousins the rest of the way at quarterback, as Michael Penix is out for the season. As you know, we talked about this earlier in the week with his knee injury. Atlanta at 3-7 travels to the 2-8 Saints, who will start Tyler Shuck again, who actually played great in his last start. Another marquee game. So the Saints are a 1.5-point choice there over Atlanta. In another marquee matchup, the Philadelphia Eagles will travel to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys looked fantastic on offense in their last outing and have looked pretty solid on offense most of the season. Now healthy on offense with all their weapons. But listen, the Cowboy defense has struggled. But since adding Jadeveon Clowney, now getting Overshown back at linebacker, Ravel at corner, these are all high-drafted rooks that had been out with knee injuries. They're all back in the lineup. And then adding Quinnen Williams to go next to Kenny Clark on the interior of the defensive line. It makes the Cowboy defense better. They also get Hooker and Wilson back at safety like they did last week. But Cowboy fans, remember, last week that was the Raiders. Okay? Your defense looked good against perhaps one of the shittiest teams in the league and offenses in Geno Smith and the Raiders. So I don't know how much stock I can put in that, really, honestly. So I don't really know. But we shall see. Anyway, let me see here, guys. Oh, goodness gracious. You know, guys, we're having a little technical issue.